Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak and still here with Honorable Kagushia, Honorable Lenguris, Senator Manzo and Senator Onyonka. Now I want us to focus on a matter that has been going on in the North Rift, some 6 counties in the North Rift. Areas affected have been gazetted. There's also an announcement that people living in some suspected hideouts, they have to leave. Honorable Lenguris, talk to me about that, and because we saw pictures yesterday of people moving out with the little they called I don't know to where is it, or to be called safer grounds, but how is that affecting the people there?
Actually, Samia came yesterday from the county, and I was in that area. The people of Samburu have been badly affected by the insecurity, and especially now. So many young guys have been killed. We have lost a lot of livestock. Now the worst is that so many people are displaced. More than 1,000 families have been displaced because of the security issues. So the advice from the minister was to move them to the safer grounds. We don't know when the operation was going to start, but so many families have been displaced. I was there and they said really a lot of despair, a lot of challenges, women crowding together, children, there are no houses, people staying in the cold. Really, people are really suffering from Samburu. We have also seen a lot of presence of security officers in the area. They have not started the operation. We are hopeful that possibly this week they will do something. Because really the menace from the Pokot community has become too much. Even with the presence of the security officers, every evening they come around. 2 days ago, when the security officers are there, they took 65 cows from one family that they have killed 2 of their young people. So I don't know. We don't know really what is happening. It's like this security issue is coming out, is going out of hand.
This is happening at the officers manning the operation. Are they on the ground?
Yeah, so I saw some of them there, but there are not many. But from yesterday, the numbers increased. I think some of them were brought yesterday. But all these things were happening few meters from where they are. Every day, every Saturday, every weekend, we are burying people killed by the bandits from the Pokot community. So it's really becoming so poor, so bad for us. We really don't know what is happening. We have even lost hope now that nothing is going to happen.
Senator Manzo, so this operation on its 4th week, yet the cause of that operation still continues. And you've seen the Cabinet Secretary for Interior telling people that you need to leave or else you'll be considered as bandits. What is your rating of the performance in this operation, and what can be done to really at least save lives and avoid these crimes?
The performance is dismal, is terrible. First of all, I have a lot of respect for my friend Professor Kidiki, but unfortunately, this is not how to do things. You cannot give families 24 hours to leave. And actually, I've created a lot of interest in this because I have had members of parliament from that region say we do not agree with what the government has decided. The government is doing a very big mistake for failing to do one very important thing. Meet all the members of parliament from that region and get a solution from them. This is a historical problem. The government for many years failed to embrace these communities. They are not in the army. They are not in the police force. They are treated as not people in this country. In fact, the president is the president of Kenya, but he's not the president of North Kenya. Him and his troops and everybody under him are totally unable to deal with a very simple matter. You hear she's talking of a community called Pokot. I mean, how can a government fail to have serious intelligence from this community, fail to know who the masterminds are, fail to even deal with the terrain? The reason they cannot deal with the terrain is because they have no officers employed from that area who are in the police, who are in the army. They aren't. So these people have been mistreated for many years, and they have formed their own system, and that system is mistreating others. At times, how will you be moving over 1,000 cows and you cannot even be seen by police helicopters? You cannot even be seen by anybody. One man moving 1,000. In fact, I have heard very good stories from members of parliament. These people are very interesting because it's a mockery. They go there, the residents go there at night where the army is, they fire 2 shots and they run away to the bush. And the army and the police are busy shooting all the ammunition they have simply because they've been scared a little bit at night. I think the community public participation has to happen. The government has to talk to this community, not kill their people, not give them 24-hour ultimatum. First of all, that is unconstitutional. You know, it interferes with the rights of those people. You cannot really move and transfer people like that. Their schools, their children. It's a very bad decision. But Professor Kidiki and his team, they should just sit with the leaders of that area, and they'll be given solutions. But
is it worse than the menace that the bandits are causing?
It is not.
I mean, the bandits, there are people you can track. There are people, some have been traced to Uganda. Professor Kidiki explained that he has sent his PS to Uganda. He came to Parliament and I followed that. I sat in that committee of cohesion. I was very concerned as to what is happening. And they said they are engaging the government of Uganda. So, you know, they are engaging quite of the people in the north. When the police fly the helicopters there, they are so scared, they fly them so high they cannot see the cows. Because they are also scared of these people in case they shoot down the helicopter.
They shoot.
So what you need to do is engage this community. Don't mishandle the community. You must know who gave that community guns, who gave that community ammunition.
Honorable Lenguris, would that work, engaging the community?
For me, I don't think, at this point, it cannot work. Before, I think in 2015, 2016, there was a lot of peace meetings that were done there. And even the government used a lot of resources. Where it has reached now, I think the peace meetings cannot work. The government has to come in force because those guys have formed a militia. You know they are taking advantage of the terrain. A terrain that they will only see you and you cannot see them. Once they get there, you will not get them anywhere. They take all the animals they have hidden in the valley. So what the government needs to do is that they should explore ways of creating a movement into the valley. Because if you cannot access this guy, no one else can go into the valley apart from themselves. They have formed a militia. They only come and kill and steal their livestock and they go hide there. So for me, we can even close the schools. Now, majority of the schools in that area from Samburu County have been closed. Because we're even fearing that they can even come and kill all those kids. So we told them to close the schools, bring the children up to the safer grounds. But if the government will not do anything, those guys will overpower anyone and no one will live in that region again. So for me, let them do what they think they can do. We have given them 1 week. We see whether something is going to happen. If not, nothing will happen from there. Then we are going to organize ourselves as Samburu community and know what to do with those guys.
What do you mean?
Yes.
What do you mean?
It's becoming too much, Sammy.
What do you mean to organize?
We cannot be burying people every day. We have become poor because of just a small community called the Pokots. They have their own county. We also have our own county. We can live like
neighbors. What do you mean with we'll organize ourselves as a community?
Yeah, to defend our people.
How?
Because we cannot stay there to see our people being killed every day. We are only burying them, and the government is not doing anything. So we have given them this time. We see what the government can do. If they will not do anything...
Are you advocating for war?
No. We will reach that point there when it comes.
Sami, I
want us to listen to the Deputy President. He spoke to a journalist on Sunday night about this particular matter, on how the operation will continue in that area up until such a time when all these matters have been resolved.
There is a lot of impunity in the North Rift and other areas that are prone to security challenges. What has happened is that previously, anytime an operation is ordered, previous leaders have taken political considerations and stopped the operations. When leaders make noise because of the elections, they stop the operations. So the raiders, the bandits, have been embodied by impunity because they know an operation will be ordered, noise will be made, and it will be stopped. In fact, sometimes they have been sneaking to a neighboring country for a few months and then they come back. I want to tell the people of Kenya, this operation will go on for 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever it takes until sanity is restored in the North Rift.
Senator, such a big problem. He's complaining about the operation in terms of how it's affecting the humanitarian situation there. She's talking about the challenges that, even if the operation is there, the challenges remain. What are your thoughts?
In fact, in yesterday's contribution that Deputy President made, this is one of the issues that I agreed with him. And in fact, he was sounding very presidential, unlike other days. The problem with our country, once again, and that happens because some of you have been lucky enough, for example, to have served in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And in that ministry, you are able to be exposed to all the issues affecting our country. And I happen to have had an opportunity to listen over the issues about banditry in these areas. The Vice President brought up one issue, which I don't know whether many Kenyans listened to. The issue was an administration that comes in normally handles this matter until a certain point, and because of political considerations, they withdraw from continuing with the whatever. I want to say this. When I was in that ministry, one of the recommendations that was always being made is what Honorable Mahanzo has talked about. First of all, talk to the communities. Okay, right now I hear, of course, Mheshimiwa has said it's a bit late because so much has been going on. Some of us believe that talks never stop, even when it is a war, even when war is at its apex. That is actually the time that you look for the warmongers and look for an opportunity to begin talking to them so that they can de-escalate from where they are. Number two, Sami, all that works in Kenya, normally we discard it. I know for sure Dr. Matiang'i has been the Minister for Interior.
And there was no problem.
There was no problem.
Nothing. There was a problem.
Mama, hold on, please.
There was.
Muhesh,
This thing has been continuous.
Muhesh, just wait. I'm using that as an example.
Yeah,
in fact, let me use somebody else. Let me use Nkaiseri. Nkaiseri had certain strategies and he was working extremely well, and people listened to him as the discussions were taking place. But immediately Nkaiseri left, the incoming government, then what did they do? They dismantled the system that was supposed to protect the citizens of Samburu and the north area where all these things are going on. Instead of us preparing to get good helicopters, which are even supposed to have night vision, instead of us allowing the guards, the village elders who usually carry guns, and they act as part of the security, we dismantled all that. Their money was eaten. Nothing basically took place. And this whole exercise starts all over again. Lastly, the people who are fueling this exercise are our colleagues. The members of parliament who are here and the wealthy in those regions, they're the ones who buy the guns, they're the ones who provide all this nonsense. Why? Because some of them are the ones who are collecting these cows after they have been stolen and they're selling to Kenya Meat Commission. And we behave like we don't know where Kenya Meat Commission is and who runs it.
They know.
So what we are saying is this: right now the government is power. Let the government deal with it. Let the government come up to know they have the intelligence capacity. They can pick assets that will tell them who are funding, who is coordinating, who's organizing, who's benefiting from it. If the government wanted to stop it, they can do it as soon as possible.
But if they do that, then you'll see politicians trooping to the DCI to protect their own.
Sometimes very, very difficult decisions have to be taken when you're protecting the country. Let the president proceed if he's serious.
Mheshimiwa Kagusha, any solutions?
I want to start from where Honorable Onyoka has left on the issue of identifying the political patrons and commercial beneficiaries, because I believe we have to look at the motive for this banditry, because this is, to some people, it's commerce. And if at all we want to succeed, we must then identify who are the beneficiaries of this trade. And you see, is trade with terrorism. And to me, they should just be categorized as robbery with violence. And then those people who are the beneficiaries of this robbery with violence, because they are robbing people, their property. And you know, the government has a duty to protect the property rights of its citizens. So then we must use all the intelligence that we can be able to have. I'm a bit surprised that the CS Interior says that they have gathered so much intelligence within the last few days. You know, I think about 20 or something, or 3 weeks. And my surprise is, what has been happening all these years? How comes we don't have formidable intelligence coming from our intelligence services? And that is where I challenge the intelligence service. And I've done this on, on air severally, that our intelligence services are usually much better in providing political intelligence than they do security intelligence. And yet this security intelligence is what matters most to the economic development of our country. And I want to challenge them that in this government, they must change the way they look at things. I mean, intelligence must count for something. We pay so much to the services. It must count for something. And that is the intelligence that will inform what is the motive and what is and who are the beneficiaries of this illegal trade. Number two, the much money we are using to combat this banditry thing, we could be smarter. And I want to challenge government as well that we must use smart ways of handling this. We know we have technology now. I am wondering if only we got some chips, yeah, you know, some electronic chips that we put in the cows.
Drones.
Yeah, you know, we put on the cows, in the herds of cows. If you have 1,000 cows, for example, we put on, let's say, like 200 or 300, if we can't start with all of them at first. And we do that in the whole area, just like the way we have done dehorning and we have done many more other things on livestock. The government, to use those resources now we are using on those helicopters and buying ammunition and all, I mean, we just use that chip on all the cows. Then when these cows are stolen, then we know how they are moving. I mean, why can't we do that? Someone must be lying to us that they are trying to stop this. And I'm not talking about today. This is something that has happened over the years. Government knows why, and it can stop if it wants. Number three, it's important that we also look at that area as Kenya. You know, one of the reasons why these kind of illegal activities happen in those areas is because of many years of neglect. I mean, those people know nothing like government all over all this period. And for us to stop that, we must bring development to those areas. When people see proper development, then they can engage in alternatives of commercial engagements, and they will also respect the fact that there is a government. Imagine a situation where you have sometimes I'm told you have an area which is as big as my constituency, which doesn't have a school. So, you know, and if that is the case, and I want to believe that is the case in some of the areas, it's very huge areas which doesn't have a school, which do not have a tarmac road, which do not have a, you know, proper government facilities. Those people don't know government. In fact, they are their own government themselves. So,
tell me this, because he is saying that your constituents do not know government. Yet since independence, there has been a representative, at least at the legislative arm of government.
Yes.
So what is this? Why is this disconnect? Because you've been elected to represent that county.
Yeah, I think people know that there is government. You know, Samburu borders Baringo. And between Samburu and Baringo, there is an escarpment. So the bandits live in the escarpment. For Samburu, we have no problem. We have schools, we have hospitals, we have roads. So people from Samburu have settled. Actually, the place they are attacking is even an agricultural zone in Samburu. The only place you can find people planting their farms, planting maize, even wheat. And so people have been settled there permanently. But behind them, there is a big valley. So people from Baringo, especially the Pokots, have migrated and lived in the valley. In the valley, there are no schools, there are no roads, and even they don't want. It's not that even they don't have. Because from ages, the Pokots have been electing their leaders. I've been questioning even myself, because the member of parliament is getting a lot of money, 140 million every financial year. Why don't they put schools for their people there? Why don't they drill water for their people there? Why don't they put roads so that their people can get civilized like any other? I've even been questioning where they have been taking all this money, because they have been electing people like the way the other counties have been electing. So that's something that the government even needs to investigate, because where are they taking the government money that they have been given? Because you can imagine, these guys have no roads, they don't take their kids to school. Now they are coming, they are migrating from their area, now destabilizing the people who have settled. They're even having permanent homes. Now they live in tents.
Okay.
Because of displacement.
Senator Manzo, you're advocating for respecting human rights, having conversations with leaders to understand what the problem is. But how do you hold a conversation with a person carrying a gun whose sole intention is to kill?
To kill.
No, I don't think that is the case. First and foremost, the intelligence department did not embrace that area. You know how the people who are hired in the intelligence department are children of who is who will never go to the valley. Have the people from the valley working for the government. That's number one. Number two, if there were dams done there, you know, the government never developed that area. Forget about the little money with the member of parliament. CDF is so small. Invest in huge dams there, irrigation schemes. And I've been to that place, I've been to Tot and those places. Invest in that area. The government must admit it has not invested in that area. I like what Honorable Kagusha has talked about. Every single cow in that region can have a chip, and you will trace it from even when it's movement. And if you trace its movement, you will have drones. You can have drones. It's very cheap to have drones. Even if those people shoot down the drones, then you will have information as to what has happened into this. So the government has not invested in the north at all over the years, and these people have been excluded. I believe the Pokots are not as bad as you once put it. I have seen they are very brilliant.
Very bad.
They are extremely brilliant.
Let's talk about the character of a community.
Yes. No. They're extremely brilliant people. They are very nice people if you deal with. But if you deny them economic power, and if you mistreat them all these years, you send them to perish in a valley. So we need government to invest, and I think it's not gunpowder which will help. It is not the soldiers who have been sent there. In fact, if they go to fight a community which is so peaceful, they have always lost. How come the government has always lost to this community with all the power it has? The army, when the army is present there, Emperor see the army there, the people, doctors are killed. Then what are the armies doing? The armies are staying very far in the tarmac roads instead of getting to the ground. So I believe proper use of technology and proper investments in that area. If there are huge dams, like the Arua and Chimarels, which disappeared to nowhere. If we have dams there and irrigation going on, and a good example is Hoover Dam of Las Vegas. In fact, the future of this country is in the north. That desert is where you can do serious economic activity.
Senator, you make a case, but what is the problem here? Because, again, those areas you're talking about, they have always had a representative. Is it that the government of the day at the executive level fails to listen? Or is it that the leaders from there are not able to negotiate for resources?
No. We should have a meeting in the State House with every single elected member of that area. They look down, the government looks down upon those elected members. And when you look down upon and you don't want to listen to them, they tell you, okay, go to my constituents and do as you please, since you don't want to listen to me. I'm the one who is a representative of the people. They have not put intelligence there. Why is the government not wired directly to that village? The government should be getting information from the community.
Okay.
As to what is happening. They have not invested in intelligence. They have not invested in technology.
The truth of the matter is, some of the political leaders benefit immensely from this illegal activity.
We think so.
Yeah, and of course, that is the reason why, even when they are elected, by the way, they are elected to go and represent their communities to continue with this illegal activity. And that is why sometimes even the police, when they are sent there, I'm told, like, for example, sometimes you go and make a curfew in the valley. And once you have made the curfew in those areas, the police, because they know what will happen, should they arrest those cows or should they bring them? I mean, they will themselves in trouble. So what do? When the curfew is put, the policemen will be all over, doing nothing. In the evening, they will come and now arresting people who are disobeying the curfew. Are you getting? Instead of dealing with the issue of these merchandise and the banditries. So the issue is we must have change of strategy. Seriously speaking, we can't continue using raw force on an area where we could use more brains. You know, someone must tell us the truth.
Okay.
And I hope the minister or the CAS is not going to be misguided by the same busybodies and the beneficiaries of this trade, so that we are redirected in using too much force on areas where we could have been more intelligent, more strategic, and use better technology, and we must change the strategy in how we approach the banditry issue if we have to stop it. But again, also, Sam, I also want to disagree with my honorable member on the issue of also ethnicizing the issue. I think we should also not go that direction. especially on a national television, because it also has a way of eliciting ethnic emotions in the community. Okay.
Honorable Lenguris, you wanted to add something?
Yeah. I agree with what the honorable members are saying here, that the government need to relook at their strategies. And what has not worked needs to be changed. Because in that valley, it's not only the locals that are losing their lives. We have also lost a lot of police officers in the same situation. And it's evident now that we are not even fighting over the animals alone, but there's also an issue of the boundaries. Because if you look at these bordering communities, the Turkanas, the Marakwets, the Gems, and the Samburus and the Pokots, there should be a clear map to show that this is the boundary that separates these counties. Because what is evident in Samburu now is that these guys are fighting over land. They want to take the land by force. And that is why we need the government to come in and solve this problem once and for all. Because people have suffered a lot out of this.
Okay, all right. I want us to transition to